If you're new to our channel, my name is Chris.
I'm Marianne.
And together we are attempting to visit every single country in the world. And at the moment we are prepping for our drive around the world in Trudy, our van that you can see behind us. And in this video we're going to show you some more of our preparations on navigations, some of the apps we use, and some of the financial planning that we've had to do to plan this crazy trip.
Yes, and whilst Chris talks all about finance and navigation, because that's not my thing, I'm going to get busy decorating Trudy ready for Christmas.
Yeah, only 10 days till Christmas and only about 20 days until we actually leave. Ah!
Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out. Die with my own doubts. Be free with me. Let's be free.
So another thing that is absolutely essential when you're doing any kind of real adventure is how to navigate. Marianne, as you know, is not particularly good at navigating with her left and right and everything else, and even sometimes has been known to get lost with the sat-nav.
Turn right, that's left.
Oh, right.
Turn right.
Sorry.
I love turn
She's not very good at left and right. My side and your side works better. So planning the navigation has been left down to me. So the first thing we have to navigate is our normal Tomtom Sat-Nav. This is absolutely great. It covers us all the way through Europe, so up till Greece we're covered. We've got maps on here. You can buy additional maps for your sat-nav, but when we looked at Tomtom Maps, it's like £50 a country, which is absolutely crazy. We then looked, another solution is OSM Maps, which can be downloaded to your sat-nav. They're called, referred to online as Garmin OSM Maps. I've looked into these, great solution, but we decided to actually go with a different solution. So we've decided to go with an app called Maps.me. We used it extensively in Central America and it works really well. You download the countries that you're visiting, and so we've downloaded loads of them. I think we've downloaded up till South Korea onto our iPad. So you just download the app Maps.me, choose the maps that you want, you download them, and you can use them offline. Now the great thing about that is that obviously you don't rely on data, you don't rely on actually having a good signal. But one of the things, although my little iPad mini here has inbuilt navigation, like location finding, the problem is I've done quite a lot of research and it relies on being able to find your location through cellular towers. Now that's fine when there are cellular towers. Maps.me works great offline. We had no problems in Central America. But some of the areas that are very remote that we're going to, we had concerns that it may not be able to pinpoint our exact location. So I have found this wonderful little gadget called Bad Elf, and it actually is a GPS finder itself. It's a very small device. It cost, I think it was about £130. It's got this little gadget here which literally just plugs into your phone or your iPad, just into the side, just like that. And what it does, this actually talks to the satellites and pinpoints your location to the nearest meter. So you download Maps.me, you download the Bad Elf app, and what it does is they work together. So when you're on Maps.me, you know that the location it says you actually are is your actual location. Whereas if you didn't have this, in some locations, it can take up to 20 minutes or more to try and find your location. So it's really important that we've got this. The one thing I've read about Maps.me is that it sometimes takes you the shortest route, even if the routes or the tracks aren't suitable. But a way round that is what we're planning to do is actually put some key towns en route so we can map where we're going. We also have a huge selection. In fact, we have one for every country that we're going to. We have a paper map. Paper maps, you just can't beat them. If for some reason you lose power in the van, we can't charge things, the bad elf dies, if something goes wrong, you can't beat a paper map. And it's also really good to be able to show these to local people who can direct you in the right direction. Some of them, like Russia and Mongolia, we've also got so they're dual language, because you may show, because they've got a different alphabet in Russia, if you show a map that's in English, they may not fully understand it. So this is an emergency backup, but it's also a good way of actually planning your route, get the map out and actually plot exactly where we're going. And the final thing that we have for navigation is a compass. I have ordered a compass off Amazon, and Marianne always laughs at me because when we've ever gone jungle trekking or on some of our more adventurous holidays, I always pack a compass. And she's like, you don't need it, we've got a guide. Yes, but what if something happens to the guide? But on this adventure, we don't have a guide. It is just us going into the unknown, and so having a compass could literally save our life if we end up getting stuck somewhere where we don't see anybody and need to try and navigate exactly where we are or get to the nearest village or town or something. So a compass. I might need to actually brush up my navigation skills with a compass online, but I know the basics. If you are planning some kind of adventure, it's really, really important to make sure that you can afford it. I've had, because I'm doing the budgeting, it's been really, really hard to budget this trip. And although we're trying to get shipping quotes, we're trying to work out the rough cost of living in different countries and mileage and fuel, etc., it's really hard to know how much this trip is going to cost us. So I've created a spreadsheet, which is just a rolling spreadsheet. Starts with an opening balance in your bank, and then it just works out. You can program your income, you can put in your outgoings, and it will just roll down. So we've estimated our spending each month and estimated our income from the house and from YouTube and t-shirt sales and things like that, and just trying to work out, does the bank balance stay plus the whole way? Because obviously if it doesn't, we have an issue. And I found a really cool app that was free to download called Spendy. So we're going to be putting in all of our expenses into this app, which will help us keep track of what we're actually spending on the road. And if you are interested about seeing our budget on a month-to-month basis, we put on our website under the blog section, we do a monthly blog post on our income and expenditure. So you can really see how much we earn from YouTube, how much we actually spend on the road. And when we leave in January, it's going to have absolutely every expense that we spend, from fuel to border crossings to insurances, etc. So that could be really useful for you as well if you are planning something like this in the future. Spending money on the road, we've done quite a lot of research before we started this adventure into which cards are the best. We chose to go with one called Revolut. It links to your phone. You top up the card it's linked to your bank account, so you top up the card, you can see the balance on your phone, and it's really, really good. The exchange rates are pretty well as published. You can spend through credit card machines your card and there's no charges. there are charges or limits on the withdrawals. So if you withdraw, I think with the basic card, you can withdraw £200 free of charge a month. If you do more than that, they charge you 2%. But it's still much better than most banks. Most banks don't give you such a good currency exchange rate, and often have charges on top, especially for cash withdrawals. So we've gone with Revolut. Now we do have our normal bank cards as a backup should anything go wrong. One good tip, if you're away for a long time, we're away for at least 20 months. So check the expiry dates of your cards, because if your card expires in 8 months' time, getting one whilst you're on the road is going to really slow us down and become a bit of a pain. So we've checked all the expiry dates of our cards as well, just to make sure that they're all still in date. We've also downloaded an app, XE, to our phones, which is a currency converter app. So when you're at border crossings and things like that, if you need to get currency from local traders, you have an idea on the actual rate that they're giving you. There's nothing worse than crossing a border and suddenly realizing, I don't know actually how much the local currency is. And we're going through so many different borders and things as we go across 20 countries, that's going to be really important for us to be able to keep up with that. So it's always good to research that before you get to a border, so you're not out with your phones trying to work it out if you can. And another good thing is just remember that we're expecting a lot of places don't have credit card machines at border crossings, and to pay for local insurances and things in some of the more undeveloped countries. So it's always good to take some currency with you. You can't go wrong with US dollars. It's the most commonly used currency in the world. So we're going to be ordering a limited number of US dollars to bring with us for those emergency situations where there's no card machines. So far we haven't really talked, or yeah, both of us haven't really talked so much to the diary cam. But the diary cam is a little way where we can just sort of have a little private chat with you guys and just let you know how we're feeling and things like that. And I just wanted to just say about the finances, you know, it's really hard. I like to be really organized, and it's really hard to try and plan exactly how much this trip has cost. And we've just had the shipping cost in to get from Vladivostok to Australia. And they've estimated it's about £5,500. It's a lot of money. So from Vladivostok to Australia, £5,500 for the shipping. We need a carnet, which is like saves you having to permanently import your vehicle. It's like a passport for your car. Now the only country we need that for is Australia. And that's £2,000. So now that's £5,500, £6,500, that's £7,500 to get to Australia. Plus we got to fly, so that's probably £300-400 a ticket. Plus there's going to be some port fees and taxes and things like that as well. So it's I'm a little bit worried that we're going to actually be able to afford to get to Australia. I've tried to forecast, I've tried to work out exactly how much it's going to cost, but you can't. So I think Marianne's very relaxed and like, yeah, don't worry, it'll be okay. And I'm the organised one in the background that's going, oh yeah, but will it? You know. So I've got a get out in case it all goes wrong. So if we get to Vladivostok and we suddenly realise, oh, we haven't got enough money. Because I'm thinking beyond Australia. So to get to us from Australia to the States is also another £5,500-6,000 plus the flights, but we don't need a carnet. So yeah, potentially if we could go from Russia straight to the States, which would save us about £8,500. And Marianne, I know Marianne's like, don't worry, we're selling t-shirts and, you know, like that, it will all be okay. But you're going to sell 1,000+ t-shirts to cover that. So I'm not really sure that we're going to be able to do that. So I think the only way that we can do it is just to have a little backup plan in my mind that we can go straight to Australia if we straight to America if we have to. But we're just gonna have to be really tight on the road, I think. And hopefully, it's hard to know food costs and things like that, but hopefully my guesstimate is about right. But until we actually hit the road, we won't know. We've also got our house is rented. Obviously, if there's any problems with the rental of the house, that then has an impact on our spending. So we can't really plan it. You've also got, if we could slow down our journey, we'd have more income coming in from the house, but you're restricted by visas as well. So it's all good. We're still positive. We're still doing it. Everything's all good. But it's in the back of my mind, there's a little bit of worry that by the time we get to the far side of Russia for that next shipping bit, we need to be very careful to make sure that, we can go to Australia for 4 months. Depending on the visa that we get, but it will cost about £8,500 for 4 months in Australia. So so watch this space. With so many border crossings, it's important to try and prepare for the border crossing. So we've already talked about the currency, but we're also busy photocopying things like your owner's document, things like your MOT, your insurance. They may ask for copies, your driving licenses, your international driving licenses, even your passport. So we're keeping copies of these so that if they actually need a copy, we can just give them a copy there and then. Also, another point we've been warned by our friend Martin is to make sure that you know where your engine number is on your vehicle. So there's like an engine chassis number. It's normally inside your actual main engine under the bonnet, but there's also one on the vehicle. It was really tricky to find the one on this. I had to YouTube it, but we found it's under a little panel under the steering wheel by the driver's door. So make sure, because they may ask you for that at a border crossing, and if you know where it is, it will save a lot of looking. We hope you've enjoyed this episode, and we are super excited to be taking you on an adventure around the world in our camper van very soon. So to make sure you don't miss any of our adventures, make sure you click that subscribe button and bell notification below, and we will see you on the next episode very soon.